तो
Yes.
हाँ, तो अभी हम जो प्रैक्टिस करेंगे, आप करवाएंगे, वो किसी भी प्लेटफॉर्म पे करें तो चलेगा ना, बिकॉज आई हैव इंस्टॉल्ड
Yes.
ऑल्सो एंड ऑनलाइन भी मैंने देख लिया है, सो इट इज ऑल्सो कंफर्टेबल.
Yes, both are equal. No problem at all.
ओके ओके.
So there is no issue if you use any of that, right? That will not going to make any difference.
ओके ओके, थैंक यू थैंक यू.
So, but preferably that in online, sometime what happened, due to our network connectivity, sometimes we get somewhat garbage results also sometimes. So, like right now when you are very new to the environment, prefer to
Yes.
have a offline version with you, right? And we can assign a value at the time of execution. So can you please explain that? How can we do that? Yeah, that we will take it right today with a detailed the variety of the taking input. Chandni madam has asked that Ritvik sir told that we can assign the value to at the time of execution. Yes, we can do that, and that we are going to look at today. Okay, so we are going to start now. Just a couple of minutes. I'm waiting, and then we will definitely start. So I will not wait now for anyone to join, and I just hand over to Rutvik sir. Rutvik sir, please you may begin now.
Sir, just a second. I'll admit everyone. I'm getting the
Sure,
question.
please.
Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone. Right, we are back with the today's session. Just a minute. I'll just switch my position so that video is clearly visible.
So, meanwhile, how we can take an input that for the input you need to write input only, and that will be definitely today shown by Rutvik sir. So yes, people are joining, and hope I suggest that you might have opened up your ideally with the appropriate Python version.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. Okay. Let us start. Then. Yeah. Hello everyone. Good afternoon. We are back with our today's session on Python programming, right? And what we'll be doing today is we'll be working with different operators today. And as Arshal sir has already discussed, we'll be working with inputs also, right? And how to take input from user, how to process them, right? We'll be also printing something on the screen, right? We'll be looking at variables, right? And yesterday, sir has explained you that you don't require any data type. So there is a particular name for it. I'll be explaining that thing in detail, that how it works in Python, right? And if time permits, then we'll be moving for conditional statement, right? So this will be our today's agenda, right? So before we start, I'll just like to confirm that if you have not gone for this quiz which I forwarded to you yesterday, please go for that. Right, the deadline is 23rd, right? But I request you to finish before 23rd, right? And it's compulsory to complete that quiz to earn the certificate. So I have forwarded all the things. You have to log in into Edmodo, right? And the classroom link is given to you for Edmodo. You can join them, right? And then you can appear for the examination or quiz, right? Just a second. So hope I'm visible to everyone. My screen is visible, isn't it? Screen is visible? I want response from you people. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Okay, fine. So now let us move to the Python part, Python programming part. Let me just, get rid of this. Yeah. Okay, so let us start. If my screen is visible, we can start with the programming. So our today's agenda will be first thing, as Chandra has asked, like how we can take input from users. So if you remember yesterday's program, as SSL has done, it was something like this: num1 is equal to 10, and num2 is equal to, let us say, 20, right? And we can say print num1 plus num2. So this is very basic operator, addition operator is there, which will be doing addition of two numbers, num1 and num2. And it's very simple, answer will be 30, right? 10 plus 20 is 30. So if I run this program, right, it says you have to save the program and answer is 30. Very simple scenario. It's not bit complex thing, right? But now what is the complexity? Say for example, if I don't want to keep this constant values like 10 and 20, I want to change the values, or I want to take the values from user at one time. So when program is running, I have to, I want users to enter the values, right? So how I can do that, how I can scan the value, right? So for that we have a function, and the function is known as input. Function name is input. Understand this. This is very important function because in all the programs, almost all the programs, you will require this input function, because when we make programs, we make it interactive, right? If your programs, if your websites, or if your applications are not interactive, no one is going to use it, right? So when you want to make it interactive, you will require inputs from users, right? So for that, we'll use function called as input, right? Now there is a difference between Python 3 and Python 2 over here, right? This is Python 3 version. So in Python 3, we have input function. But when you talk about Python 2, right? If you are working with Python 2, I think nobody is working with Python 2, but it's my duty to tell you about both the versions, right? In Python 2, function was raw underscore input, right? But as I am in Python 3, it is not turning purple, right? Very simple, the function name is input, right? So don't get confused if you find raw underscore input somewhere. It's very simple, it is Python 2 code, right? But right now the latest version is Python 3, that's why we are using input, right? There is another functionality of input in Python 2, but we are not going into that details right now. We are just worried about taking input in Python 3, right? And that is done using input function. Now, once you write this input function, you don't need any library. If you see C programs or C++ program for using basic functions like printf and scanf, you require libraries, right? But for here, input function can be used without importing any library. And these functions are known as built-in functions, right? So when you use built-in functions in Python, you don't need to import any library. You can directly use them, right? So print and input both are built-in functions. We have seen one more built-in function yesterday, Harshal sir has shown to you. That was type function, right? When you use type function, you don't require any library, or use any typecasting function like bean, hex, or opt, right? You don't need libraries for that, right? So once you type input, you have to put brackets, opening brackets and closing bracket. I suggest you to work along with me, right? So input, opening bracket, closing bracket. Now, say for example, I want to prompt something on the screen when user wants to enter, right? Say for example, if you don't want to prompt anything, you can keep these brackets blank. But always once you keep it blank, your screen will be blank. User won't get any notification. So generally we give notification to user, right? So this is my notification. This is how I can pass the notification. You will start with the codes, and I'll say enter the value of number, right? Very simple case. I'll end the quotes, I'll end the bracket, right? So input, into the bracket, into the quotes, enter the value of num1, which is my string, and the quotes and the bracket, right? This is very simple syntax. So what will be the syntax for num2? Can anybody tell me? What will be the syntax for num2? Answers from participants? Anyone? What should I write over here?
Sir, Enter the value for num2.
Yeah, very simple, right? It will be a string, so I have to start with quotes and
Yes.
I'll say enter the value of num2, right? And add the quotes, very simple, right? Now, what we are doing is we have said print num1 plus num2, right? We will see different operators later on, but right now I'm keeping it very simple. I'm doing addition of two numbers, right? So I'm not going into the details of operators right now. Let me add the participant. Yeah. So understand this. This is addition of num1 plus num2. I'm running this program. Once I'm running this program, it is asking me, can you see that on the screen? On the shell, it is asking me that what is the value of num1, enter the value of num1. Let us say I'm entering 10 over here, right? I'm pressing enter. Once you press enter, it is asking me enter the value of num2. Okay, great. I'm entering 20, right? And what should be the answer? Num1 plus num2, what should be the answer?
20. 1020.
1020. So that's correct. Answer is very simple. It's 1020.
Because
Yeah. What is the reason behind it? The reason behind it is when you use input, it returns what? It returns what?
string.
Character.
It,
Yes, it returns string, right? So when you use 10 and 20 with input, right? It's very simple. What will be returned over here by default return type of input function is string, right? Group of characters, string, right? So when you say 10 is a string, 20 is also string. When you say string plus string, it is string concatenation. Let me show you. Let us say we are saying hello. It is one string. We are saying into the quotes world, right? So when I say hello space world, when I press enter, it is concatenation of two strings. Let me add this also. It's very simple. It is concatenation of two things, two strings, hello world. So same thing is happening over here. When you use input function, input returns string, right? So num1 is also string and num2 is also string, right? And when you say plus with string, it is concatenation, right? Operator overloading concept is used over here. We are not going into the details of operating overloading right now. We'll discuss it in the object-oriented programming part. But operator is overloaded, plus operator is overloaded for strings and numbers, right? So let us move to the next case, right? Now what I want to do, I want to process this 10 and 20 as numbers only. I don't want to process it as string, right? So for that, what you have to do, you have to use typecasting function, right? So say for example, I want them to be integer, right? So I can do it like this. You start with integer, keep this whole thing input, enter the value of num1 into bracket of integer, right? Something like this will be there, integer into the bracket, input into the bracket, into the quotes, enter the value of number. And the quotes, make sure that you are ending bracket twice, right? So don't get confused over here. Why I have end bracket twice? One is for integer typecasting function and another one is for input function. The same is applicable over here, but before I convert this to integer, let us run this code again and let us see whether it works or not, right? So I'm running this code again, right? I'm entering the value, which is 10, right? And I'm entering the value of num2, which is 20, right? Now one is converted to integer, another one is not converted to integer. So understand this, one is integer, second one is string. And I'm saying integer plus string, right? Whether it is possible in Python or not, we are going to check that. When I press enter, it says an error, right? Now what kind of error is there? If you can check that, it says type error is there. Why type error is there? Unsupported operand types for plus. So integer and string, they are not compatible with each other. I cannot use, both the operand should be same. So I cannot use one operand as integer and another operand as string. Either both should be string or both should be integer, right? So this is how it works, right? So we need to convert our second variable into integer form also, right? But before we do that, let us check the type of num1 now. Print type, I'll say num1 and the bracket, just copy paste and let me call it num2. Now, before I run this, can I know from participants that what will be the type of num1 and what will be the type of num2, or what will be the answer of this code?
Num1 will be string and num2 will be num1 will be number and num2 will be string.
Great. So num1 is integer and num2 is string, right? So what we have to do over here, I can do typecasting like this also. Understand this? This is another way of doing typecasting. Num2 is equal to integer into the bracket num2, right? So what I'm doing over here, understand this, this is a bit complex. Num2 is equal to integer into the bracket num2. So how it works? Num2 is string, I'm converting into integer, and I'm reassigning it to num2. So once it is converted to integer, assignment happens, and I have used the same name, which is num2, right? So now num2 will be integer. Understand this, right? So again, we can check the type of num2, right? Let me just copy paste. Okay, so it's very much clear that now num2 will be integer. Understand, right? First, here num1 is integer because we have already converted when we were taking the input. In num2, first it was string. We have converted it into integer with this line of code, right? And then again we are taking the type, and it will be integer. And now we are doing addition, and when we do addition, it will be 10 plus 20. Answer will be 20. Right? So again, it is asking me for the value. Let us say 10. Value is 20. Right? So first check, num1 was integer, num2 was initially string. We have converted it into integer, so now it's integer, and 10, 20 plus 20 is answer is 30. Right? Now understand this. I would like to work on one more problem. Right? Hope everyone has done it. Everyone has completed it. Right? If you have any doubt, you can ask.
So yesterday what you have seen is exactly similar, right? When you are converting that integer and the base was 10, when base was 10 by default, right? That what happening there? A base 10 which comes. I will ask again Rutvik sir that just type integer function on the same where we are written a num2, then just show them the IntelliSense which has been presented, and that will show the object and comma after the object, and there is a comma, and then there was a base is equal to 10. So this string which is been transferred, which has a base 10, so it has been automatically converted to the base 10 decimal number. So this is just linkage to the yesterday's example, yesterday's typecasting which we have used. So there we were using that to convert from binary, octal, but they were in string. So this is a core string and core string, but we are not writing the base, and default the base is equal to 10. So it gets into decimal. That's all from my end. And now I'll again hand over to Rutvik sir.
Yes, sir. So this example was linkage to yesterday's program only, right? And I would like to add one more thing over here, right? So here you might get error sometimes, right? When you will get error, you need to be very specific when you are entering this kind of data, right? So again, I'm running this program, right? See that. Now here in num1, instead of entering number as a string, let us enter hello. Right? So what is my string? Instead of 10, now it is hello. Right? So hello is string, 10 was also string, both are strings, right? But 10 was converted to integer, but we cannot convert hello to integer, right? So once I do that, immediately it is giving me an error that I cannot convert hello to integer with base 10. Understand, as Harsha sir was talking about base 10, I cannot convert hello to integer values with base 10. Understand this, right? So that is the main thing, that you have to supply over here numbers only, right? Numbers will work only. You cannot pass any other string. Numbers, integer numbers will work only. Understand this, right? So make sure that you pass proper inputs, right? And again, one more thing I would like to tell you is how this is interpreted code. As I entered hello, it was trying to convert hello into integer, and I got error in the first line, so it is not executing my next lines, right? It has program has stopped at first line only, it is not moving further, right? So this is one example of interpretation, right? At first line we got the error, program will stop, right? So this is very basic example of taking inputs, right? Now instead of integer numbers, we can work with floats, right? So here you can make it like this. Instead of integer, you can typecast it to float also, right? And now, as you are familiar with the typecasting, I'm putting float in the second argument, second number also, right? Okay, great enough. I can check print num1 plus num2. What kind of input I can give over here, right? So let us say my num1 is 3.14, which is value of pi, and let me say 0.3010, which is value of log 2, right? Let me add these two numbers, which are floating point numbers. They are initially read as string, and then they are converted into float values, right? So when I say enter, when I press enter, right, the addition happens of these two floating point numbers. Understand this? This is very simple example that how you can convert this into float, how you can convert this into string, right? Say for example, I want to convert these two numbers again back to string, right? Or I want to convert this answer into string. So the typecasting function is str, right? So I can say it like this: str num1 plus num2, right? And generally we do it like this: into the quotes, answer is, right? Now when both are string, you know how to add both the string, right? How I can combine these two strings? Any answer from your side? How I can combine this answer is and num1 plus num2 is converted into string format? How I can combine this two?
By placing comma.
Comma, okay. Anything else? Anything
Ampersand.
Using concept of single quote and double quote.
Using concept of single quote and double quote? No, I'll not use quotes over here when I'm using variable. See, these are known as variables. Num1 and num2
Can we
are
use an ampersand?
ampersand, no. For now,
By
no.
placing an assignment operator like plus sign.
Like which sign?
Plus sign.
Yes. So what we'll be doing is we'll be adding plus over here, right? Yeah. So plus is what? It is nothing but concatenation operation, right? So it concatenates two string. Answer is one string, and num1 plus num2, it is converted into string again with the typecasting function str, and we are doing concatenation of this two, right? So this is generally programmers don't use this, right? So I'll show you another way, but let us work with it first. Let me call it as 0.3010, and if you can see, it is showing answer is 3.4410. Same answer is given, right? Now, as you can see, there is no space in between, so you can put a space after is, right? Because you have to manually specify is. When you say plus, by default, space won't be added, right? The strings will be concatenated as it is. So space you have to add it manually, right? But generally, programmer doesn't use this way. They do it like this. They put comma over here. They remove this concatenation. You can pass any of the variable or summation of variables or multiplication of variable like this. So answer is comma num1 plus num2, right? Very simple thing, right? And we will run it. 3.14, 0.30, right? Same answer I have found, right? Now, there are other ways to work with the string and to print results, right? There are other options with print functions also, but that we will discuss when we'll talk about loops, and we'll discuss when we'll discuss about strings also, right? We are not going into that detail right now. It's very basic print statement. Right? Any doubt in taking inputs and printing on the screen? If you have any doubt, I'm open for QA session for 2 or 3 minutes. Let me check the yes, Devangi madam, the input is function. Once when I'm typing something and if it turns purple on my screen, it's function, right? So Python ideally has that facility. It converts it inbuilt function into purple color, right? Any other question? Okay, fine. So there are no questions right now. So let us move to the next case, right? So this is how you can convert with it. And now let us play with some of the operators, right? Okay, before we move or before we dive into the operator parts, I want to discuss about one philosophy that is used in Python. That philosophy, it is philosophy, understand this. This is not technical thing, right? It's just a philosophy. The philosophy is known as duck typing philosophy, right? So before we dive into the duck typing philosophy, I'll be giving you two hints. And after listening to these two hints, you have to tell me that the bird which I'm describing is which bird, right? It's very simple thing, right? Don't get annoyed with this. What is happening over here, right? It's very simple thing. So first hint is I'm looking at a bird which can swim in the pond. First hint. I'm looking at the bird which can swim in the pond, right? First thing. Second thing, I'm looking at the bird which can produce quack quack sound, which can produce quack quack sound. Two hints. I'm looking at the bird which can swim in the pond. Second is I'm looking at the bird which can produce quack quack sound. Yeah. So obviously answer is duck, right? Great. So very simple. Answer is duck. And based on your answer, the philosophy is known as duck typing philosophy. So how you have identified duck? Based on its properties, right? If the bird can swim in the pond and if bird can produce quack quack sound, right, it's duck, right? So based on this philosophy, the concept came duck typing philosophy. What is duck typing philosophy? Based on the value assigned to the variable. Based on the value assigned to the variable, type of the variable will be decided at runtime in Python. So if I say num1, at last input was returning string, but at last it was converted to float, right? So type of num1 will be float, and it is decided at runtime, right? And this is known as duck typing philosophy. So if I check the type of float, right? Type into the bracket float. Sorry, type of num1. Sorry. Type of num1, it will be float. Very simple, right? And I'm entering integer values, still it will be converted into float, right? And if you can see, class is float, right? So understand this, it's very simple thing, right? Based on the characteristics of the value assigned to the variable, type of the variable is decided at runtime, and this concept is known as duck typing philosophy in Python, right? This is asked in so many Viva, so many interview questions, right? This is a good question for Viva and interview. What is duck typing philosophy in Python? And based on the type of variable, we can perform some operations on the variables. We'll see that later on, that what kind of types we have in detail, what kind of operations we can perform on this, right? So we are going to discuss it about later on. Any doubt up to this point? I have tried to explain it in depth, in detail, right? So if you have any doubt, we are open for questions, or I can proceed further. Any doubt in duck typing philosophy? What is that? Hope there is no doubt, right? Am I audible? Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, so let us move to the next case. Let us talk about few of the operators, right? So I'm just working with operators, different operators which we have, basic operators that will go for additional operators in later on sections, right? So num1 plus num2, num1 minus num2, right? And rather than working on float, let me make it integer so that it will be easier to understand. Right? Num1 minus num2. Okay, third operator will be obviously multiplication, basic operator. And multiplication is represented with asterisk sign, which is a sign above 8 numbers. So shift and 8 together, you will get asterisk sign. Right? You have division operator. Okay, there is one more operator that I'm showing to you is double divide. Num1 double divide num2. This is known as floor division. I'll explain what is this floor division. Don't get confused about it. Right? This is known as floor division. Okay, and let me say print. Copy paste. Here I am using star 2 times, right? First, for multiplication I have used star single time. In last case I am using star 2 times, right? So we'll understand all the differences. So this is num1 plus num2, it is addition operator. Num1 minus num2, this is subtraction. Num1 star num2, multiplication. Num1 divide num2, division. Num1 double divide num2, floor division. Num1 double star num2, this is known as power, right? I have to admit someone. Yeah, so this is very simple. I can put comment over here, which is addition. Right, this is subtraction. I'll make it short. Multiplication, division, known as floor division. I'll explain what is this floor division. Those who are new to this computing world, they should know this floor function, right? And this is power. Right, now understand this addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, you know very well. But what is this floor division? So floor is nothing but we are moving to floor. So there are two functions. If you have worked with Excel even, there are two basic functions called as floor and sail. Sail is kind of a chajja we have, right? So we are moving on the upper side. Sail and floor is the bottom side, right? So we are moving on the downward side. So say for example, if I say 3 double divide 2, or it is also technically known as 3 floor division 2, right? The answer should be 1.5. 3 by 2 is 1.5. But as it is floor function, answer will be 1.0, right? Because we are reducing or we are moving to the floor side, downward side, right? So we are reducing the value. If I say sail will be going to the upward side. So 1.5 will be converted to 2, but there is no sail division. It's only floor division. So we are moving downward side. Why do we need this? To get the integral part of fractional point numbers, right? So if your division gives, fractional point numbers or floating point numbers, right? You can get integer numbers from this, right? So it's very easy, right? If you don't want to do that, you can use typecasting function on float also, right? And power is nothing 2 raised to 3 or 3 raised to 2, right? It's power, very simple. Let us just run it and let us keep it very simple, right? I'm entering first value as 3 and another value is 2, right? So see this 3 plus 2 is 5, 3 minus 2 is 1, 3 into 2, answer is 6, very cool. 3 by 2, this is single division, right? Answer is 1.5. Okay, answer is 1.5, 3 by 2, single division. And 3 floor division 2, answer is 1. As you can see, we have moved to the downward side. So 0.5 is removed from the answer, 1.5, and answer is 1 only, right? And last is 3 square. 3 square is nothing but 9, right? So these are some basic operators in Python with which we can work, right? And I think for basic operations, these operators are enough, right? We can make a simple calculator with this also, right? And based on this operators, today I'll be giving you one program to be solved, right? So that will be uploaded on Edmodo, right? And you have to solve that program and you have to write your answers in the comment box, right? So it will be kind of a small assignment, but it is not very simple assignment. You have to apply logic into it, right? You have to read the, I always prefer a kind of a story-based programming. There will be a story associated with it and you have to understand that story and you have to apply your logic for that, okay? So add it out in operators, add it out with this operators. If you have any doubts, we can discuss about it. Okay, I think there are no doubts, right? Let me check the comment box. Yeah, it's clear. Okay, nice. Okay, so let us, yeah, please.
सर इसमें जो लास्ट था उसमें खाली सिर्फ 3 का ही पावर हुआ, इट्स लाइक 9, तो फिर num2 का क्या हो गया उसमें?
num1 की वैल्यू थी 3 और num2 की वैल्यू थी 2, so 3 square is 9. Okay, if I make 3 3, So 3 into 3 into 3. Num1 is 3. Num2 is also 3. So 3 to the power 3. So that is 3 into 3 into 3. 27 will be the answer. Let us check it. Right. So first value of num1 is 3. Right. And let me increase the power. Right. Let me make it 4. Right. So 3 plus 4 is 7. 3 minus 4 minus 1. 3 into 4, 12. 3 divided by 4, 0.75. 3 floor division 4. Moving to the floor part, integral part, it is 0. And 3 raised to 4 is 81, right? 27 into 3, 81, right? So this is how it works. Okay? Yeah. Any other question? Any other question? Okay, I'll hand over to Harshal sir.
So here you have try to understand the operators. So basically, I would just make you clear about the what is a floor and what is happening by these two variables. So first of all, understand that what we are doing here, like something which we want, something like this, x raised to power, right? When you want like x to the power y, right? When you want this way, which is doing what? This is the doing what? Like something x into x y times. तो दिस इज क्लियर, ये समझ में आ गया. x रेज टू पावर y कैसे रिप्रेजेंट होता है? रिप्रेजेंट होता है इस तरीके से in Python, x star star sorry star star y, and meaning क्या हो गया? Meaning is this x into x, right? How many number of time? Y times. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे x first time, second time, and then so keep on doing this. ये ठीक है
सर आपकी स्क्रीन नहीं दिख रही है.
Oh, okay.
So your screen is not visible.
No problem. I'm just doing re-sharing of the screen. Rutvik sir's actually screen has to be stopped and then my screen will come. Okay. So fine, no problem. I'll re-explain these things. Okay. Hope now it's visible. It's about to come. Okay, you can see here, I just explain you in a simple terms what was our example. Like we were representing x star star y is like this, x raised to power y. ठीक है, मतलब क्या होता है? x का y टाइम पे मल्टीप्लिकेशन होगा.
Okay. Okay, fine. So Harshal sir has explained you how x raised to y works. Let me move to my screen. He's having some technical issues with the computer, so I'm switching over. Hope my screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, great. Okay. Okay, so this is what we have discussed about basic operators, right? And this is how we can work with the basic operators. Now, our today's goal is to understand conditional statements, right? So we have discussed about basic operators, how to scan the values, how to convert those values into appropriate conversion, right? How you can print the values on the screen, right? What is duck typing philosophy, right? And understand this, in Python, everything is object, right? It is, say for example, if you create integer, it says class integer, type of the variable is class integer. So everything is object, and based on the type of the object, operations will be decided. So we are not diving deep into this right now because it is very introductory part of Python. We'll dive deep surely in later sessions, right? But next thing is we will be moving to the conditional statements, right? So let us do the programming for conditional statement. So next topic is very simple, conditional statements, right? And I always, divide this conditional statement into three cases. So hash is nothing but I'm just putting comments. So this lines won't run. Hash is used as comments in Python, right? So this line won't run, right? So first type of conditional statement, they are known as single way. I always define conditional statement like this, right? Second type of conditional statement is double way conditional statement, right? And third type of conditional statement, they are known as multi-way, right? And in single way, we will have, in single and double both, multiple. So we'll be differentiating what is multi-way and multiple. Understand this? You have to understand it clearly, right? If you understand this concepts very clearly, right? What is multiple, multi-way, single way, double way? I think that will be a great option for you, right? So I'll be starting with a very simple program, and then I'll be moving to a good solution or a small greetings program we'll be talking about, right? So let us start with single way programs, right? How it works. So I'm saying that let me take a number, or let me start with the program directly. I'm calling it as a lang. So lang is nothing but it's my variable, right? And I'll take input as a function. Enter your language, or enter the language of your choice. Right. So very simple example. I have taken a variable lang, which represents language. Before we talk about this language thing, I'll discuss about one more thing, right? Taking these variable names are very important. When I say lang, you understand that it is language, right? I'll give you one example after this at the end of the session, that why it is important to take or choose proper variable names, right? So lang is nothing but language, right? Input enter the language of your choice. So someone can correlate it, right? Now, how this works, right? So I know different greeting ways in different languages, right? So if you are from other states, and if you know how you pronounce your namaste thing, right? Greetings thing, I'll discuss. But I know in English we call it as hello, right? So what I'll be doing is I'll be choosing my language is EN, and if someone chooses EN, hello should be printed on the screen. Right? Similar to that, let me say I know Spanish. Can you tell me what is the word which is being used in Spanish to say hi or hello? Anyone?
Hola.
Yeah. So it's hola, but it starts with H, right? And let me say SP, right? Any other language? I know how to call it in Russian, right? In Russia, they call it's privet. Right? So let me call it as RS. Let me move to our national language. Call it as Namaste. Let me make it H. Yeah, great. Okay, fine enough. Now, can you tell me any other language you know?
Gujarati.
What you will say in Gujarati?
Kem cho?
Okay, great. It's like that. Easy. Anything else from your side? Any South Indian participant? Malayalam, Tamil?
Sushil.
Anyone? Okay, fine. Okay, not an issue. So we'll keep up to this point, right? There are many more. You can do as many as you want, right? There is no restriction on this. Now, what we are going to do is, once user enters the two letters, like so, say for example, someone enters EN, right? The message that should be printed on their screen is hello, right? Or if someone enters, let us say SP, the message that should be printed on their screen is hola. right? So we are making a program to greet users, right? Generally, when you log in into any of the applications, this is the first thing. They'll ask you to choose language, right? And once you choose the language, they will greet you, right? Welcome, some name, or hello, some name, right? So this very small program we are making, we are choosing the language and then we are greeting with a message, right? So let us do that, right? How we can do that? So understand this, it's very simple. I can make it like this. If lang, this is known as comparison operator, right? If lang double equals to. So don't get confused with this equal to and double equals to. Equals to is known as assignment operator. So whatever will be entered by user, it will be assigned to lang. But this double equal to, it is known as comparison. It compares with the right hand side part and left hand side part. So if I say over here lang is equal to, let us say en, right? This is the syntax. If is keyword, this lang is equal to en is known as condition, and you need to put a colon. Now, what is the purpose of this colon? This is a new syntax, very brand new syntax in Python, because you don't use such things in C and C++, right? So what is the purpose of this colon? Understand this. Colon indicates start of a new block. So this is very much asked in Viva and interview for beginners. What is the purpose of colon? So colon indicates what? Colon indicates start of a new block. What is block? How we can define it? So those who are aware about C and C++, they will say, sir, we can define curly brackets, right? To create blocks in C and C++, we use curly brackets, but to create blocks in Python, we don't use curly brackets, right? We use space, right? So if you are working with IDLE or any other IDE or Python programming framework, by default space will be added. Can you see that? Space is there, right? I have highlighted it. So generally this is known as a tab, and the tab contains 4 white spaces, right? So generally it is a standard trade-off. It is not mandatory. Standard trade-off that will keep 4 white spaces. So if you are working with Notepad or Notepad++ or any other text editor, basic text editor, this white space won't be added automatically for block, right? So once you type colon, it's very simple. You have to add the white space. Okay. Now understand this, how I'm working with it. If language is equal to en colon white space print hello. Understand this, how it works, right? So this is part of this particular if statement. Hello is part of this particular if statement. It is within the if block. This is known as block, right? That means I want to add one more statement in this block, right? How I can add it? So with same indentation, this is known as indentation procedure. This is known as indentation procedure, and this is asked in examination so many times. What is indentation in Python, right? So this is known as indentation, right? And with same indentation, I can keep as many statements as I want to keep in the block, right? This your choice is it. How is this? English. Right? So understand this. If language is equal to en colon, there is a block. They're printing hello. The choice is English. Let us just try to run it, right? And let us just try to check what happens over here, right? I'm saving the program, running it, right? And what should be my choice? So let us say I'm entering en. Now focus over here. I'm talking about very important thing in Python, and this is the biggest reason that Python programmer makes lots of mistakes. I've entered en, and if I'm pressing enter, nothing is given as an output. Okay, let us do it one more time. Control S, F5. Again, I'm entering en, and I'm pressing enter. Now it is saying, hello, your choice is English. Now, in both the cases, my answer from the user was same, en and en. Still, in first case, there was no output. In second case, there is an output. Can anybody tell me what is the reason behind?
Python is case sensitive.
Yeah, great. The answer is absolutely right, right? Python is case sensitive, right? And if you see over here, we have kept capital E and small n, right? So in your choice also E should be capital. If you don't enter E as capital E, it's not going to match with En, right? So here what happens? We are entering En over here, right? So understand this, what happens. User enters En, right? So lang will be what? Now lang will be En, either capital or let us make it small also, right? As per the choice of the user, right? And then this will be compared. Small e and n is equal to capital E and no, both are not same, right? Double equal to checks whether they are same or not. So small e and capital E both are not same. To be specific, how they are compared? They are compared with a concept called as ASCII values. They are converted into a numeric representation, and the numeric representation is known as ASCII or ASCII, depending on the pronunciation. Right? We'll go into the details of ASCII or ASCII when we'll study about strings. Right? There are other formats to represent character also, right? But we are not moving into this details. But capital E and small e both are not same in Python. Understand that, right? So lang is equal to small en, it doesn't match. When it doesn't match, it skips this block. These two lines will be skipped, right? But when it matches, these two lines will be executed. Are you getting it? Make it very clear, right? When it matches, these two lines will be executed. When it is not matching, these two lines will be skipped. Let us give these numbers, right? So let me call it as, let me call this as statement number 1, statement number 2, statement number 3, and statement number 4. Now you have to tell me that when the condition is correct, when En matches with En, how many statements will be executed, and when condition is not correct, how many statements will be executed. I'll be typing with hash. Let us go for matching. When En equals to En, what will be the sequence of execution? In which sequence statement will be executed? Anyone?
Print hello and print your choice is English. If condition is satisfied, otherwise
Okay.
it prints, it ends.
Okay, so can I say this? When condition matches, obviously my program starts with the statement number 1, always without condition. It is not related to condition. So statement number 1, it will be always executed. Then what about statement number 2? Statement number 2, again it will be always executed. Condition checking will happen. Now if condition is true, statement number 3 and statement number 4 will be executed. So which will be the sequence when condition is true? Right, understand that. But when condition is false, what will be executed? Statement number 1 always executed. Condition, it will be always checked. Right? Now if condition is false, it will not go in this block. Right? So once it doesn't go in this block, statement number 3 and statement number 4 will be skipped. So condition is false, only 1 and 2 will be executed, 3 and 4 will be skipped. Right? So understand this, what I have written. What I have written over here, either condition is true or condition is false, right? So understand this, when you compare this comparison either will give you true or it will give you false, right? How you can do that? So you can check it like this. Understand this, what I am doing over here. I'm taking one variable called as lang, right, which is En. Okay, and then I'm saying lang is equal to En. Are you getting it? So lang is equal to En, it is comparing, and if you know this thing, both are same, right? And the answer will be true. Yes or no? Right? Let me add this person. But say for example, if I call it as like this, lang is equal to small en, right? Answer will be false. So understand this condition always return Boolean. There is one more data type, right? And this data type, you have seen numbers, integer numbers, floating point numbers, complex numbers, you have seen strings. There is one more data type that is known as Boolean. And Boolean always have two values. So this is comment in Python, right? So Boolean always have two values. Either it has value called as true or it has value called as false. Now understand this, T and F both are capital, right? T is capital and false, F is capital, right? So if I always want to print hello and your choice is English, what changes you will make over here? Instead of lang is equal to English, en, what changes I should make so that it will be always printing hello and your choice is English? Any answer from your side? Any answer? Am I audible? Am I audible?
Sir, but I didn't get your question.
Yeah? Yes, Chandana, you were saying something?
You are audible, sir, but we didn't get your question, what you are trying to say or are trying to ask.
Okay, not an issue. Say for example, instead of this language is equal to en, I want to replace it with something else, like a Boolean value. And always I want to print this statement, hello and your choice. That means I want this if condition to be always true. What changes I'll make so that the condition will be always true?
You can simply write a true.
Yeah, that's the correct answer, right? You can type it like this also, if true. Why? Because as you know that comparison returns either true or false, right? Here what we are showing, condition is always true, so this code will be always executed. You run it 1,000 times, whatever the language is, let me say ASP, right? Whatever the language is, condition is always true, because we are not comparing, we have said that it's always true, right? Very simple case, understand this. You can make it false, even if you enter en, right? Statement won't be executed, right? I'm entering correct choice, still nothing is getting executed. Code is being skipped or block is being skipped, right? So understand this is how it works, right? Now let me come back to the solution. Lang is equal to en, right? Now, other than further moving into the program, I'd like to discuss few more operators which can be used for comparison, right? So this is one operator, double equal to is one operator, and it checks the exact value, right? It checks the exact value whether both are matching or not, right? Another operator is less than, so I can say 3 less than 4. Yes, obviously 3 is less than 4, right? So it gives you true. You can say 3 greater than 4. Obviously 3 greater than 4 will be false. You can say 4 less than 3. Now what will be the answer of 4 less than 3? Anyone? Quickly. 4 less than 3. 4 is lesser than 3.
False.
False, obviously. False, right? 4 less than 3 is false, right? Let me say 4 less than 4.
False.
False, because 4 is not less than 4, right? So answer is false. Okay, great. 4 is greater than 3. Answer is true.
True.
Right? So this is how comparison operator works. Can I say it like this? 4 not equal to 4. This is not equal to. Exclamation mark and equal to. So where you will find exclamation mark, shift and 1 and then equal to sign, right? Shift and 1 together, right? And then equal to sign. So 4 not equal to 4, right? False, great, right? And as you know, 4 equal to 4, it's true, right?
True.
Similar to that, I can say it like this: 4 less than or equal to 4. Less
True.
than or equal to. So now it is either less than or equal to. So answer is true, right? Okay. And 4 greater than equal to 4, again it is not greater but it is equal. So answer is again true. Understand this. This is how it works, right? But if I say it like this: 5 less than or equal to 4. 5 is not less than, neither it is equal, right? Answer is false. So you can change the combinations like this. So there are 6 operators, right? Either you can work it like this: Yeah, and you can say double equal to, you can say not equal to, you can say less than, you can say greater than, you can say less than equal to, you can say greater than equal to. Now I'll share a screen with Harshal sir, right? And we'll discuss about comparison between number and strings, right? Yes, Harshal sir, please.
So hope screen is getting shared. Yes, is getting shared. And quickly summarize few of the important points which has been to in the linkages. So like you have started with the program in an interactive mode, you have done, right? You have done with the scripting mode, and please remember that, right? Please remember this, that it is the case sensitive programming language. Rutvik sir had rightly focused much on a case sensitive programming language by making you understand with the E, N in uppercase E and the E and in a lowercase. So please, this is very important, case sensitiveness. Okay. Now I would say much important thing is about the Python identifier. What is Python identifier? We normally know that as a variable identifier, which is known as a variable. So how to write the name of the variable? Rule is exactly same as C, which you have used. So you can use three things. Either you can use small a to z, you can use uppercase a to z as a first character, or you can use a underscore. These three things are permitted here. And then you can use anything. But what is not allowed? Does not allow punctuation characters such as this, @ dollar and all this. So while you are giving the variable name, you can have underscore first, you can have a to z, small or uppercase, but not the numbers or not any punctuation character at first as first letter, right? First letter, correct? And then you can have everything. You can include number, you can do everything, right? So what is the ultimate meaning of this? You cannot start the variable name with the number, right? And no punctuation character will be used. So there are naming conventions that you need to remember. When we use a class, it will be uppercase, and there is a use of underscore, which is very specific. When you use an underscore, this is very specific use of an underscore. When you use a single underscore, right? When you use a single underscore, what it makes that private. Private means it won't be visible to the others. When you use a two leading underscore, like leading underscore in the front and at the back, that is strongly private. And when you have this at the very end, that is called a special one. So this is the naming convention which you need to remember. When it is only in the beginning, it is private. In the beginning and the end, it is strongly private. And when it will be considered a special at the end only. First, which we have seen, first letter cannot be a number, right? It is case sensitive and does not have a punctuation character in the variable name, and the first letter of the variable name cannot be a number. Hope, is it clear?
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yeah, please go ahead.
If we start a variable name with a character, and we also add a number, right? Like A1.
Okay.
Will it be?
See what I am saying, for the first position, First position, no number. First position, no number. So what
So
is
I have to
valid?
use it after the underscore only.
No, just wait. For the first position, no number, right? Allowed. One. Then what is allowed?
A to Z.
Right. Allowed is A to Z in lowercase or uppercase. Here
Okay.
and underscore. Right? That is at the first position. So like if you have some variable name which is like this, and
Okay.
for this first X, rules are A to Z, right? Or
Yes.
underscore. And for the all remaining, this is first, later, and after that, after first, later, you can have A to Z, lower or upper. Okay, you can have numeric, that is the number, or you can say numeric. You can use underscore also, right?
Okay, sir.
And but what you cannot use anywhere. So never allowed that variable name are punctuation calendar. Punctuation character means like you can have percentage, you can have at the rate. So all this called a punctuation character. So that cannot be allowed. That you cannot
Okay,
use.
sir.
Like using the comma and all this, which is called punctuation character. Full stop, right? Full stop, colon, semicolon. They are what? Punctuation character. So you cannot use these things. So easy way is punctuation character is not allowed, and character allowed are is only underscore. Okay, let's move further. This is clear? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Harshal sir has given you lots of information about what can be a valid identifier name, right?
Then on a screen, please refer, these are the word reserved that you cannot use as a variable name. So list of these words are in Python which you have inbuilt functions. So that you cannot use. And assert, break, class, continue, def, del, elif, you can have a snapshot of this, right? Because these words you cannot use, and that's why you need to use some ideally, so that will indicate with the colors. All right, and you can see that they are in a lower case, and some of them are red and uppercase. So that can be representing a sum which is class defined to some class also. Now next point. First program we have run, multi-line statements we have used, right? And statements which is contains within the curly brackets, square brackets and round brackets. Do not use a line continuation character. Otherwise you need a line continuation character, or you use a triple quotes, right? Which we have seen yesterday, triple quotes. And hash, as you Ritik sir have demonstrated, use for comments. Okay, number types, this we have seen, integer, long integers, floats, complex, this we have seen. These other data types we'll see later on. This you have executed yesterday. Multiple assignment is also been shown, a comma b comma c, and the multiple assignment. And even though you can use this way also, a is equal to b is equal to c is equal to 4, a string, integer and float, which has been done. Now I'm coming to the operators, which is very, very important. You have seen an arithmetic operator that's called AO, like plus, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. This is modulo. Percentage sign is modulo, right? And this raised to the power and floor division, double dividing. Then we have seen right now comparison operator, that is called relational operators, which is equal to, not equal to can be written these two ways. Remember that not equal to can be used in a two ways. One, exclamatory sign and equal to, or you can use less than and greater than together. So that both the way you can write not equal to. Remember this. This is an alternative way, and sometimes people use this into the outputs kind of questions. Then this is a very easy symbol, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Now we are coming to the assignment operator, that is equal to, and AO equal to. What is AO equal to? Is what? AO operators are what? Plus, minus, multiplication, division, right? Then something which raised to the power, then the floor division and modulo. So what is this? When you are using the same variable, when you are using with the same variable means with the x, and you want to perform on x and store to x, store to x. So how would you do? This will be like when you write here x, when you write AO, means any of this variable, any of this operator you can use. AO equal to, and here it is operand. So for example, if I want to do x plus equal to, you can do a 5, which means x is equal to x plus 5. So this is arithmetic operator plus and equal to. So this is called another way of assignment, and this plus can be replaced by any of this, and that will be done a function with this. So that's all with my side. I had done with the operator here, assignment operator, that you can see here how we have done assignment operator. The other operators are logical operator, and or not, and again a binary operators and bitwise operators, that is also represent with the symbol and. This is or, right? Now line and indentation, which we have seen, but everything which you are writing here which have some block line of code, block line of code means a part of that, something which is part of that. When something which is part of that, what you need to do, that block which will be having starting with the colon, and then you need not to say a end of block here, something which you were doing earlier, that will be known with the indentation difference. Indentation difference. So in a block, whatever the statements you are writing, you need to use same indentation, right? Here the size is to be same, and when you complete something and write from here a statement 2, that indicates end of block. Now block can be a condition statement, it can be a loop statement, it can be a function. Okay, please remember what is block. Block is what? A block is nothing else, it's a bunch of code. All right. So control structure, I am again giving back. In control structure we have decision making, that is if if else, then sir had explaining you single line statement, multiple line statement, right? That is if else, which is decision making, and another control structures are looping, that is while, for, and both the things can be used nested. Okay, now I am again hand over Ritwik sir for explaining this further. For you can see that if singly you can use this if, that is constraining with the expression, if के बाद expression लिखिए, फिर indentation के साथ अपने statements, and that is over. Then in if else you have if expression, statements, else, statements, right? And in core Python you can have elif also, that is combination of else with the condition, that is called elif. So that can be replacing the switch cases. So this is kind of an view of an elif which allows to check a multiple expression. If check हो गया, else में कुछ check नहीं होता था, मगर हमें check करना है, तो elif expression 2 statements, then that is the last else and a statement. Okay, now we will have a demo of this. So again, I am ending my sharing presentation, and Ritwik sir will take charge now. Any question meanwhile? Yes, question is there. Can you show some previous slide, please? Oh, you need to interrupt us. I would have been slow. Devangini madam, which slide you are talking about? And can we use multiple line comments like C and C++? If you, yes, how? Multiple line comments, yes, you can carry on with the hash, with the triple quotes.
हर्षल सर, ऑपरेटर
Yes,
की जो just before one slide, operators.
One just a slide before operators. Is it this one or this one? This is the operator slide.
हाँ सर, ऑपरेटर के पहले की एक स्लाइड.
This one. It was only about
Yes,
declaration
yes,
and multiple
yes.
assignment.
Yes, this slide.
This is about the multiple assignments. First, which is simple declaration of the variable name and then assigning the values. And another, which is multiple assignment. When you want to assign, first example is same value to the multiple variable, that is A is equal to B is equal to C is equal to 4. And another is different values to the different variables at the same time. So this we had taken up yesterday. A comma B comma C is equal to 5 comma 1.5 comma the string. Okay. Shall I now hand over?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Now I hand over to again Ritwik sir for demonstration. And now we will approaching for this after this demonstration, we will having approaching to the end of today's session.
Okay, so Harshal sir has given you lots of information about the indentation and everything. To add into this, what we can do is, let us move back to the interactive mode. And sir has told you that what can be the naming convention or naming rules are there. Rather than saying conventions, these were the rules. I'll show you how to use the conventions, right? So that you will get a clear idea about this. But before moving into the details, I would like to answer from you people. I'd like to get answer from you people. I've written one statement on my screen. Can you see that? Underscore is equal to 10. Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So whether it is a valid line or not, underscore is equal to 10.
Yes, sir, valid.
Yes, it is a valid variable name, so you can keep single underscore as your variable name, right? So this is how it works. And if I say underscore over here, and if I print it, answer is 10, right? So sometimes this is asked in interview or examinations, right? That single underscore without anything, without letter, without number, whether it is valid or not, right? So it's a valid variable name. Understand that, right? Underscore is a valid variable name, right? Okay. Next thing, rather than moving into the conditional statement, we'll jump it tomorrow. I'm showing you one type of conditional statement, that is single way conditional statement or one way conditional statement. This is one way conditional statement because there is only one condition over here, language is equal to EN. We'll continue this program tomorrow as well. But before we move to this conditional stuff, right, I'd like to explain you one more thing over here, right? And that is what should be the names of the variable, right? Because rules you have seen very well, right? But what should be the conventions, right? So I'm opening my any text editor over here. Let us move to, I was talking about various text editor in my first lecture, and I'd like to show you one of the text editor that I use for my Python programs. Can you see this particular screen? Green color screen, is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Green color, yeah. So this is known as Atom. What is this? This is known as Atom, and it is text editor, a standard text editor. You might have heard about Sublime, right? So this is like Sublime, right? So this has many more functionalities compared to Notepad++, right? And generally, those who are good programmers, those who want to do programming from scratch, they use this kind of facilities, right? So if you are good at programming, you will get lots of features. One of the features I'd like to tell you is very simple thing. I'll show you over here, right? Let me just create a new file. Right, and I'm saying that is abc.html. Let me make it very simple, right? And what you can do, what is the feature of this particular thing is, as I have stored this as HTML, I can write HTML and press tab. As you can see, whole basic structure of HTML is loaded for you, right? These are some advantages of having, what you can say, this kind of text editor, which will make your programming life easier. Right? Now, what I want to show to you is what should be the naming conventions. So I'm writing few names, and you have to tell me that what I'm going to represent over here. Right? Okay, this is one set of variables. Can you tell me what I'm going to represent with this? Anyone? What I'm trying to tell over here? Any idea? I think no one has the idea because no one knows what are these variables, right? Now I'm just changing it. How can you tell me that what this variable represents? It's just ABC, right? No one can have that idea, right? This third way of representing same variables, right? Same three variables. A is equal to 10. Hours is equal to 40. Extra 8. Now, if you can see that I have chosen proper variables, right? And now you can understand that this program might be relating to some salary calculation, right? Because I'm talking about pay per hour, total number of hours, and extra rate, that is 1.5 times of the pay, right? So choosing very proper variable names is also important, right? Rather than representing like ABC or number 2, num 3, when it is required, choose this proper names. And if you can see in my program also, I started with lang, right? So what is this lang? It represents language, right? So only naming rules are not important, naming conventions are important. And sometimes it takes lots of time to choose proper name for the variable, right? And if you go to the larger companies, larger industries, they focus on this a lot because you will be working on a larger course like 10,000, 20,000 lines. And if you choose ABC, other programmers are not going to understand what is ABC, right? So choosing proper variables, variable names are also important in Python or in any of the programming language, right? And that was that's all I wanted to tell you about how to choose variable names, right? We have started with conditional statement. We are stopping it over here because of the time restriction. We have completed single way instruction, right? Again, tomorrow I'll show you this code, small piece of code, 3 lines only, single way, and then we'll move to double way and multi-way instructions also, right? So that's all from my side. I'm coming to the questions. Yeah. Sir, at the end of the session, please tell me the steps to quiz on Edmodo. Okay, madam, I'll show you Edmodo if my screen is visible to you. Screen level? Just a second. Now, is it visible? Edmodo is visible? Okay, if I'm in the same browser, not an issue. I'm opening Notepad again. Just look for this www.admodo.com. Right? Once you open Edmodo, either you can join as educator or teacher if you are a teacher or student. Right? Now, if you're a student or teacher, doesn't matter. I have given you class code, so you have to click on join class. Right? Once you click on join class, they will ask you to enter class code that is shared on email. Class code is shared on email. Right? So you have to enter class code. Code. Right? Very simple case. Right? Once you enter class code, what you have to do is, am I audible? Hello?
Yes, sir, you are
So
audible.
you enter class code, and once you go to the class code, there will be a stream like Facebook. जैसे हमें Facebook में पोस्ट का स्ट्रीम मिलता है ना, वैसे ही स्ट्रीम होगा. वहाँ पे क्विज लिखा हुआ है मैंने, डे टू क्विज. अब जैसे ही अटेम्प्ट पे क्लिक करोगे, व्हेन यू क्लिक ऑन द अटेम्प्ट, क्विज विल ओपन. देयर आर ओनली 5 क्वेश्चंस. यू हैव टू क्लिक ऑन द राइट क्वेश्चन. One of the question is multiple answers, so you have to click on the check boxes rather than a radio button. Rest of the cases are radio buttons, so only one answer is there, but one question it has check boxes in it, right? So yeah, there are multiple answers of it, right? And each and every day we'll be posting 5 questions, right? So today the quiz will be something like this, day 3 quiz. I've set the deadline for Edmodo. The deadline is of 23rd. राइट. सो 23rd के बाद आप डे 2 का क्विज अटेम्प्ट नहीं कर पाओगे. ठीक है. डे 3 के लिए कि भी हम 23rd का ही डेडलाइन रख रहे हैं. आई एम गिविंग यू डेडलाइन फॉर फर्स्ट फ्यू डेज बिकॉज वी वांट टू मेक श्योर दैट एवरीवन अटेम्प्ट्स द क्विज प्रॉपर्ली. Right, so day 2 and day 3 quiz you can now attempt up to 23rd. Later on from next week we'll keep it for 2 days. So we'll keep it open for 2 days only. The day which we have taught and the next day. That's all. Right. So hope this Edmodo side is clear to you, right? Okay. Sir, Python have graphic library? Yes, Mr. Bhavesh, Python has graphics library. There are multiple graphics libraries in Python. If you simply want to work with kind of a canvas or object or drawings, there is a library called as Turtle. If you want to create multi-widget graphics, multi-widget GUI application, there is inbuilt library called as Tkinter. There is external library called as PyQt, and the latest and the famous one is Kiwi. Right? So there are multiple libraries available in Python for graphics. Hope I'm clear.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
This is the Edmodo screen. And you can log in from here. use your Google ID. If you have used anything, you can use from this, and you can set those things which you want, and then you say allow. Once you say allow, I have already my ID, so I just then you have to do say allow. Once you say allow, you will get back to the Edmodo screen, and authentication, which will be allowing to sharing the drive and all. After that, demonstration is there. You can see some, I have a Python training and all this. You can go from here and add interest, or you can do a join class. Here you can see, you can create also your group and go for a classes, and then from here you can join a new class. So here, join a
My
class,
classes, click on join class.
go for a code. Okay, we have given you a code, so you can type here. I have already joined, so it will be work here, but you can type your code, something which has been given, and click on join. So that way you can be able to open up. So any further query regarding this? Any further query? So is available on Play Store? Yes, it is available on Play Store. Easy to use? Oh yes, you can use it to use, and you can submit it. That all queries had been answered. Thank you.
Okay,
So now we are ending for tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll join on the same link on same time. Okay. Keep posting that's in social media and keep attending quizzes. Thank you everyone.